press that. So welcome, Karen.
Welcome, Vanessa.
Thank you so much for agreeing to talk to me. I'm really grateful.
My pleasure.
And I'm just wondering if you could start off by sharing a little bit about who you are and where you are in the world.
Sure. I'm Karen Kimsey House, and I'm, where do I look? Do I look?
Wherever, I think straight ahead. You're doing good now.
Okay. I'm Karen Kimsey House, and I am the co-founder and the CEO of the Coaches Training Institute. And I live in Dillon Beach, California, right on the ocean. The ocean's right there. In Northern California, just north of San Francisco by about 2 miles, by about 2 hours.
Cool. So could you share with us a bit about your story? So what is it that you do that you love, Karen?
Oh, gosh, I love everything I do. I am a leader for CTI, the Coaches Training Institute, a business that I founded with my husband and my third partner, Laura Whitworth, who passed away 7 years ago. I love that. I love my team and my staff and working with my executive team. I lead leadership programs, which I adore. I design new programs with my husband and with other parties, which is fun and stimulating and exciting. I write. I'm doing a lot of blogging and a lot of writing. I'm getting ready to write another book, which is fun and I love. So I love it all.
And has it, so I notice I'm wanting to go in a couple of directions, but has it always been a case of like kind of knowing what you love and just following that? Or has that kind of been a path of discovery for you?
Oh, it's been such a path of discovery. If you'd have told me even, 25 years ago when I first met Henry that we would be here, I would have laughed in your face. All my life I knew that I wanted to work with people and that I wanted to contribute. And I did all kinds of different things. I was in the theater, I was an actress, I had lots of my own solo entrepreneur businesses. I did a lot of personal growth work, a lot of social work in an attempt to find a format that would allow me to, sort of pour myself in. And I was sort of a thunderstorm looking for which way to pee. And at the time, a lot of my family and friends kind of felt, well, she's an interesting person and maybe someday she'll get her act together. As I look back now, it was a perfect training program for what I'm doing. But at the time, it looked like I just couldn't get my act together. Yeah. And then I found coaching. And I can't really tell you which came first, coaching or the Coaches Training Institute and training coaches. But I know that I remember an experience of going, okay, here's a shape that can hold me. Here's a shape that's big enough for me to pour myself into. And it's been growing like that ever since. So for the longest time, I had no clue. Except I just felt a desire, a real desire.
And you said your family, kind of were waiting for this evolvement. Did you feel that sense of waiting, like anticipation almost? Or was it more of a fire? You said like a thunderstorm.
I felt it more like sort of like a drive and like a hope, but I would despair a lot because I would just go after something with everything I had in me and then run into a wall and it would all sort of run through my fingers. And so then I'd get on the next thing and I'd run towards that. So I was discouraged a lot. And my family loved me, but I'm very, very, very different than the rest of my family. They're very conservative. They're very structured. They work at the same place all their life. They really follow a more traditional path. And so they just, I wouldn't say that they didn't believe in me, but they didn't have anything to believe in. Now I really feel well supported, but at the time, it was like, wow, where in the world is this loud child who's so rambunctious and fierce and opinionated and precocious and annoying? Where is she going to fit into the world? How is she going to make her way?
See, I can't imagine you like that.
My mother used to say to me, my mother was from the South, of the United States, and she used to say, I hope when you grow up, you have a little girl, and I hope she's just like you. It's what you deserve, you awful, awful, awful child. You awful child. I was hell to raise, so it was a handful. And I was frustrated because I couldn't have articulated it at the time, but I didn't like any of the norms. Like, women were supposed to be a certain way, girls were supposed to be a certain thing, girls were supposed to do certain things, and I didn't like those things. When we did Boys Chase the Girls, I didn't want to be chased. I wanted to chase. And so it really messed up the game because I didn't want to play it that way. Just an example of like what a rebel I was growing up.
Now I get a sense of the thunderstorm.
Yeah.
So, I meet a lot of people who, including myself, who are on a similar path. Mm-hmm. And, one of the things I'm really conscious of is the amount of resistance that can come with trying to find something that you love and find that path of joy. And I'm really curious about what advice would you give to someone, who's kind of steps behind you? Where would you point them? Where should they look?
Well, that's such a good question. Just keep following your heart and keep going, And I see people all the time get all tangled up about what is it? What is the thing they should be doing? What is their quest? What is their purpose? And they get frozen by that, right? Yeah. And one thing that I did do that I think really helped me be successful, because I feel successful in expressing my purpose in the world, was that I kept going. I just kept moving, and I got in motion about things, and I experimented, and I tried lots of new things. So I had lots of failure, but I also learned a whole bunch too. Yeah. And looking back on it now, every single experience I had and every single failure that I had contributed to what I'm doing today. So rather than staying so frozen and concerned about what that one thing is, just start to follow your heart and get into motion, and the rest will evolve. It's like sex. It's not something you figure out in your head. You got to get in bed and kind of start to move with it, and then it kind of begins to reveal itself to you.
And for someone that feels a bit disconnected from their heart, so doesn't necessarily feel the emotions in themselves, how do they quieten or start to hear that kind of calling?
Well, I think that not everybody orients from their heart. For some people, it's from their mind. Yeah. So I don't want to make it wrong that people aren't necessarily moving from their heart all the time. Me, I'm a heart person. That's where I source. What was it? Someone was talking to me yesterday. She said, "I love you, Karen. You're a crybaby." But for other people, I think they need to look at what makes sense. But if people look outside themselves at the world around them, they will begin to feel restless or sad or concerned or annoyed or irritated or impatient with things that are happening. There are things that are happening in one's life that just really aren't okay with whoever the person is. And if people start to follow that, internal urge, that will usually take someone in a good direction,
Yeah. And when you get those feelings of feeling, scared shitless, like kind of, oh my God, I've got stage fright. I can't take that first step. How do you break it down? Like what? Do you get those feelings?
Yeah, all the time.
Oh, good.
Even now, today, I was giving a talk not too long ago to a bunch of, I was talking at a Flash conference. These are a bunch of techies, and I was the only person who was talking about anything that wasn't like, here's how you do it on your computer. I was terrified, You have to put your attention on where you want to go rather than on what you're afraid of. I coached a car driver for a long time, and he said it's really interesting when you're going into a car racer, someone who raced a car, when you're going into a turn, if you put your attention on the wall, you'll get pulled into the wall. You have to put your attention on where you want to go, not where you're afraid you might go. And I've used that ever since because it really, really works. So when I feel nervous or scared, I just put my attention on the people or the impact I want to have or what I want. And it doesn't make the nervousness go away. It just gives it a context and a place to live.
Yeah. And would you share what the impact is that you're wanting to have on the world?
I really want people to reconnect to their ability to cherish beauty in themselves, first and foremost, the beauty in themselves, and to hold themselves as special and unique, and then building from that to see and cherish the beauty in each other. And it's not about liking everybody or preferring everybody, but every single human being has a unique flame or color or flavor. And I think we're born to see and appreciate that. And then to appreciate the beauty in the world around us and to cherish it and to protect it and to protect life. I think that's our human birthright. And we get domesticated, you know, and learn not to feel how much we care. Mm-hmm. And so my purpose in life is to, you know, create forms and processes and experiences that help people reconnect to how much they care. Because people care so much, and they just forget. They go to sleep a little bit, or they get disconnected, like you were saying, or they get distracted. They think something else is more important, and then it's not ever.
And so I'm just really curious about what gives you most pleasure when you see people reconnecting. Like, what does that give you?
I'll give you some examples. I was leading a leadership retreat 2 weeks ago, and over the course of the 6 days, I could see people remembering themselves, beginning to come into the self that they were. And that just lit me up. Yesterday we were at a staff meeting, and one of my CTI staff people, someone who hasn't done very much of her work, maybe the fundamentals course, son went off to college, and she said, you know, I just have to remember that he's naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. This is one of our cornerstones. And you know, it's not a gray thing. You're either naturally creative, resourceful, and whole, or you're not. And she was saying it like she was the world's authority on naturally creative, resourceful, and whole, and it just lit me up. Like, you go, girl. Whole that son is naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. So when I see people remembering, it just thrills me. Not just at CTI, but everywhere. I went to see the Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. It's this great movie.
Oh, it's so cool, isn't it?
British actor, all my favorite British actors. That was a remembering movie. Remembering who we really are, you know. And I was so lit up in that movie that I hopped out of my seat, and this old guy next to me was there by himself, and I gave him a big hug. And he gave me a big hug back. You know, moments like those are special.
Do you know, it's funny you say that. One of the things that I noticed just for me doing this project is how much I like talking to people. You know, and connecting them up and helping them feed off each other with ideas and stuff. I love that. And
yeah,
it's exactly what you're saying.
Yes. And who would have thought that your path would be the very thing that you enjoyed the most?
Exactly.
You know? Right.
No, it had to be hard. It had to be hard.
Well, see, that's another, you know, you asked me a piece of advice. In addition to looking to the stuff that you're irritated at, look at what you like to do. Like, why do something if it's not fun? You know, I like to be the big cheese at CTI. I like that. I like to be Karen Kimsey House. I enjoy the things I'm doing. Why do something if you don't enjoy it? Yeah, and people, it's hard for people to believe. They do. They think it has to be hard. I love what you're saying. They think they should struggle for their self-expression, you know, that if it's purpose, you know, it's meaningful and deep, and they have to, like, be serious. You know?
I've gone through that process of it's like trying on hats.
Yes, it is.
You know, like, oh, I'll try theirs on. Maybe that'll work. And then it is just that easiness.
No, I'm really glad you found this. It lights you up. I can see in your face. Yeah, I could tell in the way you wrote about it that it was lighting you up.
Oh. Well, Karen, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for your time.
Of course.